covering MMA from all over the world. This is the premier stop for all your combat sports needs. MMA Junkie Radio, the only show broadcasting live from the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. The lights are on and the mics are hot. It's time to get your MMA fix, junkies. Take it away, Big John.
Gorgeous George and Goes, are you ready? Junkie Nation, are you ready? Well, let's get it on.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Race and Sportsbook, you're listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes, our ace co-host, back east, handling all the producing duties, Jumbo Josh. What up?
Sup?
Not much, man. Not
Man.
much.
Before you walked in, we were watching the PFL. We don't want to give away spoilers. But it was one of the most brutal knockouts I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah.
I saw the results, but I did not go in there. I have some stuff, tape in and stuff that I'll go back and check. But really?
It was as clean
in
as
PFL
as
history
I've
or in
ever seen.
MMA history?
Okay, let me take away brutal. I just want to say, one of the cleanest knockouts I've ever seen in history.
I gotcha. All right, well, MMA in 2019. All right, our guests today will be Nick Newell and Aljamain Sterling. We'll be talking to them in about an hour, 15 hour and a half for both. So the first part of the show is wide open for us to talk about the latest news, just kind of go over some of the latest smaller topics in which I find interesting. I think Goes does as well, but we've kind of been interview heavy this week, and we just haven't had a chance to get to it. If you want to participate on the show, it's 877-FIGHT-93, 877-344-4893. Hit us up on Twitter at MMA on SiriusXM. Oh, by the way, that works for all the fight shows on Fight Channel, on Fight Nation Channel 156, the at MMA on SiriusXM. Twitter handle. Yeah, you can hit up all the hosts, co-hosts, producers from that channel. Everybody tries to interact as much as they can. All right, Goes. So we'll start off with the good, and then we'll get to the bad. The bad is the spicy stuff, the one that everyone wants to talk to, and I'm sure you all know who I'm talking about. Most polarizing, popular athlete in the game, Conor McGregor. Yes, we'll be talking about him. But first, let's start off with a little bit of the good. Sportsmanship Goes, how to handle a loss. Conor's actually handled it before in a way where he could be part of this first segment. Lately's been a little bit cuckoo, but a few weeks ago we had Michael Venom Page, we call him MVP here on the show, and he fought Douglas Lima, former Bellator welterweight champion. They mixed it up in the semifinal of the Bellator welterweight Grand Prix, and Douglas Lima caught him. It was really, really impressive, man. He just clipped him on the chin, and MVP went completely out. MVP's a cocky guy, and I wasn't expecting what I saw when I hit MMA Junkie in the last 24 hours, but pretty classy in defeat.
Very mature.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to say, he's an ass, and it was a complete shocker, but I just thought somebody who is so, I guess, confident and cocky and, brazen, sometimes when they lose, the best thing is to just not say or do anything. That's okay. All right, you just bite your tongue and then you wait till your next set of fights and win streaks and accomplishments, and then you're back at it again. But this was the complete opposite.
I thought he was very mature in what he did. He had options. He could have said, he did say that he felt like he was in control of the fight up until the moment. But he backed that up by saying you can never put your guard down, not even for 1 second. And I thought it was a very mature thing. I thought as soon as it happened, he was very mature in the way that when he went through the curtain, talking to Douglas Lima, I thought Douglas Lima said some great things. He was just cool, man. He made an even bigger fan out of me after that. I picked Douglas Lima to win that fight. But I ended up being more of a Michael Venom Page when it was all said and done, watching the way he matured in front of everybody's eyes. And you know what? the way Bellator has been showcasing him, maybe this takes off some pressure, because a lot of people always like to talk about Bellator, and they got Michael Venom Page, and they haven't given him strong enough opponent. He's undefeated. When's he going to get to, I think all that
even the
creates
Daily
stress.
win kind of didn't count, It was it was a shitty fight. Someone had to win. But I guess for the fans that haven't seen the video, can you maybe explain what happened behind the scenes?
Well, they walk through the curtains, and he goes to...
And it's on MMA Junkie, by the way.
Goes to Douglas Lima, gives him a big hug. Douglas Lima told him, don't let this deter you. And he said, no, not at all. You were the better man. They even, somebody asked, can we take a photo of both of you guys together? And sometimes fighters will be like, look, man, I just lost. I ain't trying to take no picture. But he took a picture. I think he took
it was organic, raw, and very honest,
Very, very
genuine.
honest. Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't anything where... I hate to keep harping on this because this was maybe 8 years ago. Remember when Greg Jackson tells John Jones, hey, go over there and win you some fans, you know what I mean? And then the other guy reacts. Not that he was against that gesture, but still, this was, you could tell, just, two dudes that had respect. And I'm sure that was very difficult for MVP. That first loss has to be difficult. First loss for somebody that's like he is, outspoken and confident and plans to never lose. That must have been difficult, but yet that's what makes the gesture so classy and admirable.
Yeah, I really liked it, man. I really thought he had some nice shine after that fight, and something that they can build off of now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, in that Grand Prix, Douglas Lima will be facing the winner of Neiman Gracie versus Roy McDonald. MVP will come back and tackle another welterweight. He's out of the $1 million tournament, but I think he's now on the map. Mm-hmm. He's been on the map, but like Go said, he was up until the Daily fight, and now this fight, it just looked like somebody that had promise, but until you start facing the tougher competition, you're like, well, what's he really like? Is he championship material? And he's taken a loss. Ed Ruth's taken a loss in this Grand Prix. He was undefeated as well. But at the same time, Neiman Gracie's stock went up. Lima's stock has already been up, so beating MVP was just a great win for him, and it gets him closer to getting everything he wants, which is to be a world champion again, the Grand Prix belt, and the $1 million. But for MVP, who would you like to see him against?
I think he may have just been booked in the last week or so. I'm not 100%.
Let's look it up.
But I want to say Lorenz Larkin would be a fun fight. Because remember, Bellator's welterweight division is pretty stacked. And
it wasn't the hardest hit. It was just the clean hit. But they're already rebooking him, huh?
No, Lorenz Larkin was, I think, just booked.
Oh, I see. Okay, I thought you said...
I'm not 100% sure.
I got what you're saying.
But I think it may happen. So I don't know if that would work. But to me, I think that would be a fun matchup. And you got two strikers that are going to stand in front of you. Now, I know we said that about Paul Daly. That it didn't really work out.
Yeah.
But I think that would be fun.
Well, a little history here. Evangelista Santos was about the time where I said to myself, I used to like Nashawn Burrell. That was in 2014 that they fought. But it was a name where I said to myself, well, he fought in the UFC. Let's see what he's got. But then he fought a couple other names that you're just not familiar with. But he gets to Evangelista Santos, who's put in his time in the sport, and then he just crushes his skull. I'm talking about Michael Venom Page.
Literally.
Yes. And then later on, he fights Fernando Gonzalez to a split decision. Now, Fernando Gonzalez is a guy where he's never really been a title challenger. And a lot of people just feel like he's one of those guys, they're in Temecula? Well, he's from Murrieta. Shove him in there. He's a kickboxer. He's done well, and he's won most of his fights. And so even getting that win, which is a split decision win, Michael Venom Page didn't come out with a raised credit score. If you went in with a 680, it was still a 680.
But even if he went in and completely demolished him, I still don't think his credit score would have gone up.
Well, but at least to maybe 685. But a split decision, Then he gets to caveman David Rickles, who again is another one of those guys. Has put in his time. He's a tough out. He finished him, and so now he's starting to shine again. And we're like, all right, enough already. 13-0. Give him. Gets Paul Daly. Finally, two guys that despise each other. Two guys that should have fought 2 years ago. They fight. Wasn't exciting, but somebody had to win, and MVP did win the fight.
Got through a little adversity in the fight.
He did, yeah, but he also showed some holes, and you thought, wow, if if Daly can do some of these things, what's going to happen, with some of the other fighters. But regardless, he wins. He's 14-0. But in the Lima fight, I would agree with Michael Venom Page. He had a lot of moments that he can take from, and say,
He's awkward.
Okay, this is me having some success against one of the top welterweights in the world. And I'm not just saying in Bellator, in the world. Like Douglas Lima is one of the best welterweights in the world. So I think, believe it or not, his stock rose for me, even in that fight that he got knocked out in the second round against Douglas Lima, because I saw qualities there from a welterweight that we weren't able to get treated to that. Now, around there, between Gonzalez and Rickles, there was about an 18-month layoff. So for a while, Michael Venom Page went away. Plus, a few months ago, he suffered the loss of his father. So he's gone through a lot. And I think right now, decompressing and resting and maybe coming back into late 2019 would be great for him, and maybe that'll be the start of something new.
Watching the tournament play out, you sit back and you watch that and you see what you could have gotten. I think builds like a new hunger. So I think it'll be, I don't want to say a good thing because obviously winning would have been better, but I think it'll help him.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, look, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about Khabib Nurmagomedov and Conor McGregor. As much as we think that Khabib and Poirier is a slam dunk for Abu Dhabi on September 7th, later this year, UFC 242, that name, Conor McGregor, the minute you hear it, you start to look. You start to go to your phone. You start to go to your tablet. What's going on? And right away, anything's believable. He's fighting for the lightweight title. He's fighting for the welterweight title. I mean, anything's believable with that guy because he's far and ahead, powerful, popular, successful, polarizing, whatever, and bookable, marketable, whatever. And we're going to tell you about why we still need to see the T's crossed and the I's dotted on that other fight before we actually believe it. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation, channel 156. Here, playoff contenders battle tonight on MLB Network Radio as the Chicago Cubs take on the Philadelphia Phillies. Catch the live play-by-play right now on Sirius 209, XM89, and streaming on your phone, and at home on SiriusXM connected devices and speakers. All right. You know why I did that?
Me the money.
Because I just realized that's yesterday's read.
Oh. I thought you were trying. Sometimes I try and test myself to see how long I can hold my breath.
No. That was to see if
I can't do it.
that somehow could fly for today. And then I thought, of course not. I mean, granted, the Cubs and the Phillies could be playing today, but I couldn't do it quick enough to see. Because, you know, they play like a team 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, wait a minute. This might make it. As I looked and saw the name Jim Ross, who was on our show yesterday, Ian Heinz. But, yeah, when Thursday sometimes is a travel day, so it could be a whole new squad that they're facing. So, let me do it one more time. Sunday is the fastest day of the year.
Hold on, George. Let's do it right.
All right.
This is how we do it.
Both iPhone and Android carry a feature to make their show more enjoyable. It's called the mute button. Here are those two numbnuts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
Take 2. Sunday is the fastest day of the year, and SiriusXM has all the racing action. Starting at 8 a.m. Eastern, a.m. I said, hear the Grand Prix of Monaco on Dan Patrick Radio. Then at 11 Eastern, it's the greatest spectacle in racing, the Indy 500. Hear that race on Mad Dog Sports Radio. The day wraps up with the thunder of Down Under. No, just kidding. The thunder of NASCAR and the Coca-Cola 600 on NASCAR Radio. I did that silly joke yesterday. The Thunder from Down Under is an all-male strip show here in Las Vegas. It's at the Excalibur, and guys always bust each other's chops with that dumb, silly joke. Immature people like me. All right. I want to check now, and I don't know why. I'm just curious.
The Thunder from Down Under?
Yeah. Are they still in town?
No.
The Phillies and the Cubs were still playing. That was what I said yesterday, right? For yesterday's read?
You're trying to see if it still would have made sense?
It would have worked. I could have pulled it off. That just could have been the read. Now, that game, however, technically... Oh, it's already a final. So they played an early game, so that's how stupid I would have looked. So I'm glad we went through all that. We went through a take 2. Okay, folks, listen. McGregor. McGregor was on Tony Robbins' show, and he basically wants Khabib Nurmagomedov, and he's doing the old Khabib is scared bit. Problem is, that's a massive fight. And I understand that if Khabib fights Dustin Poirier, it'll sell probably $2 million pay-per-views less than the other one. I could see Khabib and Poirier doing 500. Like, that's just the number I go 500, and I don't think anybody would go, are you on drugs?
Well, it's hard to even gauge that system.
Yeah, because we don't know what Khabib is like by himself. I know he's got a massive social media following, and he just beat the most popular guy
but now it's
on
being
the planet.
Streamed and all that. So
right,
it's
exactly.
hard to really judge it. But if we were going based off of the old system,
500?
500.
Now, if he does $1 million, then
Who
I'll
else is
shut
on the
up.
card?
Then that's when I go, oh, wow, I didn't know Khabib became that big of a seller.
Do you have a decent co-main? Or are they putting
For
all
Abu
their eggs in?
Dhabi?
Yeah.
For Poirier versus Khabib?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you got to come with
Okay, so with a decent one, I'll give them 6.
600.
Just because it's Khabib, the guy who took out Conor in that
And
way.
Conor and Khabib did 2.4 or something like that, 2.5. That's why I said it's really, and that's hard for the UFC to go, oh wow, hey, let's stick to this unofficial tournament format and give Poirier what's his. You know, Dana, go out there. You know how we pay you millions. Go out there and fix all this, dress it up, battle the media. You know, and that's what Dana White mostly gets paid for. Is he comes up with the matchups, but he also has to appear to make sense out of some of the controversial decisions that the UFC does. And most of the time he succeeds because mainstream media goes, really? And they just run with it. The hardcore media tells them, come on, you know, we all sit here and say whatever, but, you know, there's just different audiences for everybody. So anyway, back to Conor McGregor. He was on Tony Robbins' show, and he is basically baiting Khabib. I mean, he might as well just call him a chicken at this point, right? But here's a cut of, it's quick, Conor on Tony Robbins. He basically wants the Khabib rematch.
I give my respect. Congrats, you won the match. Let's see what happens next time. I'm confident we'll get it again. Let's go again. Humble in defeat. I am humble in victory or defeat, no matter what. It's a sport at the end of the day. A gruesome sport, but it's a sport. So I respected. I was defeated on the night.
Okay, what if Jose Aldo had said, remember when he got knocked out in 13 seconds? What if he had said, all right, I respect the man. The best man won. I'm humble in defeat. I'm humble when I win. But now I want that. Would Conor have said, give it to him? He's one of the greatest of all time. Hell no. Conor was like, all he was thinking of, champ, cha-ching. I want to fight Rafael dos Anjos, which, of course, became Nate Diaz 2 times and then eventually got to Eddie Alvarez. But he wasn't trying to say, oh, wow, this guy's one of the greatest of all time. A rematch is in store. No. Now, that one was quick. I realized that. But the other one was kind of a one-sided beatdown. Conor had some moments, but Khabib pretty much took him down 2 times, and then he also knocked him down in another round. So he just kind of beat him everywhere. There was a round where Conor really, really showed a lot of guts and a lot of heart. I think it was round 3, and he started to turn it around a little bit. And I think some people were like, had maybe some hope, like, hey, is doubt creeping into Khabib's mind or anything like that? And, of course, we find out in round 4, nope. I mean, because Khabib went right basically to his bread and butter. And that was it. That was the end of the fight. There was nothing where we felt like, but, so-and-so hobbled in. Or no, man, as far as we both know, they both probably had some knick-knack injuries, bumps and bruises, but nobody had anything serious. And that was it, man. That was the fight. It already happened. So, look, I just don't want to sound like a jerk, but that's the plain truth. When he beat everybody, he looked forward to something else. And that's what fans do, and I'm pretty sure that's what Khabib does. Now, if Khabib, who's never really said money's what stirs his drink, if he were to say, nah, I want it again, and if he gets involved, then trust me, the UFC can go, well, hold on a second. Conor wants to make more money and wants this fight. Khabib wants to make more money. He wants the rematch. We love money. Let's do it. You know what I mean? But I think if Khabib stands firm and says, nope, one time, let me beat somebody who has a belt, an interim belt, who earned it, and then once that's unified, if Conor were to get a win, hell, maybe Conor might not even need a win, then he gets next. All right, and he would have to battle the Cerrone-Ferguson winner. Remember, if that is a hootenanny, then that's a whole other thing. But again, just the minute Conor McGregor's name lights up on Dana White's phone, Dana White just rushes out of the conference room and says, "What you got? What are we doing?" You know what I mean? That's how big of a name he is, and so we have to basically hold our breath every time that happens. But I think this is just him maybe setting things up. I really just hope it's Khabib versus Poirier. It's the way it's supposed to be. The guy earned a shot, and he's interim. The other guy's undisputed. Unify.
And
they're both healthy.
A couple pieces to the puzzle?
Sure.
Because I want to know what you think. To me, this seems almost like he's coming off as desperate. Some of these little moves that he's putting out.
It does, a little bit.
It does look almost a little desperate. So then he starts bringing up Floyd Mayweather again, and the fact that he feels like he can defeat Floyd Mayweather still. I
didn't hear that one. Did he say that?
Yeah, so that's
Tony Robbins again?
I don't know if that was part of Tony Robbins, but he's talking about Mayweather again, right?
Yeah.
And then I believe on Twitter, and it might have been today, Keith Thurman told him, I'll dance with you. So now there's kind of like 3 things going on, okay? To bring up Khabib and even say that, hey, I think I deserve this fight, to me it's a little far-fetched, all right? To bring up Floyd's name again is insane. And I think he knows that. So to do that, I feel like it's a move of desperation.
It is.
And I don't know if the UFC played their card so well that they've put him in this situation now. But I don't know. That's what I wanted to ask you was, do you feel like it's coming off bad now?
No, because
think people still eat it up?
You just move on to the next thing. Something great's going to happen in a hockey game, a basketball game, a baseball game. A couple days goes by, and then boom, just something else will come up, and that's it. I think we now live in a day and age where we react and move on, react, move on. And same thing with some of these athletes that are out there, and they're doing their thing. When Liddell and Ortiz fought, there was a big buildup. A couple of them got lucky enough to do Kimmel or whatever was around back then. They fought. Did a post-fight, and that was it, man. There really wasn't a Twitter. There was a MySpace post maybe or whatever else. You know what I mean? But nowadays, you can literally connect every 10 minutes if you want. Look at our president, for crying out loud, and the stuff that he puts out. He knows that there's a reaction. With Conor McGregor, it does seem a bit desperate because Conor really, all he has to say is, look, I'm just going to lay back. You all have my number if you want a big fight and you want to make some money. And
But
that's
for how
that.
long,
Like, we
though?
already know he's a badass, and we all know that that's a lucrative fight. So let's see what plays out. But in terms of, like, trying to derail, I mean, it's not like he's gotten his way every single time. He's not batting 1,000.
Does he need the money?
No.
Okay.
Well, I take it back. No is the answer. But I guarantee you, whatever he had about after the Floyd fight,
It's changed.
it's changed. I bet you there was a spike downward, and then the whiskey, I don't know because I don't have the financials, but it sounds like it's doing well. So maybe there's a spike up, but I'm telling you, there's spikes up and spikes down. So if things are popping for him outside the game, then sure, I think maybe he can hang back a little bit. But if they aren't, then he knows there's a wheelbarrow full of money after 36 minutes of dancing in a squared circle versus Floyd Mayweather or Manny Pacquiao or whoever. It's got to be one of those two. No disrespect to Keith Thurman, undefeated world champion. But Thurman has to beat Pacquiao, and then I think he might have a little bit more shine. But
But there's a difference between a fight with Khabib Nurmagomedov and everything it brings and a fight with Cowboy Cerrone.
yeah,
And I think in this little process, he's kind of realized that. So I don't think he wants to come back for any of them other fights. Because you know what? There's also a good chance he's going to lose those fights. If you go down 5, 6 guys in the lightweight division,
right.
those are some tough-ass fights. You think he wants to fight Justin Gaethje? I'm not saying that he doesn't think he could beat him. I'm not even saying that he can't. He could very well connect on Justin Gaethje and knock him out.
Correct.
But does he want to do that for what the reward would be? I don't think so.
Especially nowadays where there's so much confusion over what the UFC pays or how they go about that. All right. Let's do this quick audio here from Dustin Poirier. He's kind of defending his stance, and then we're going to take some calls and see how Junkie Nation reacts to this. So this is Dustin Poirier on our show a few days ago, and he's talking about the Khabib fight in Abu Dhabi. Dustin, I know that's something that hasn't been confirmed yet. You versus Khabib, Abu Dhabi, September. But if we were here and I asked you that question and you said, I can't answer it, but as you walked away, would you be giving me a wink as if to say, yeah, man, it's as good as done. We just need to, literally sign contracts? Or is there some sort of a holdup?
I wish I could give you more insight to that. I'm not sure. Everything's pointing to it happening in Abu Dhabi September 7th, me and Khabib. But I'm not sure what the holdup is or what's going on. I have no clue.
You care where it's at? Do you care that it's there?
That's a big challenge to go over there and probably one of the biggest Muslim stars, sports stars for sure. I mean, I don't know any other ones right off the bat. To go out there and enemy territory and fight their guy is going to be a huge challenge, and but that's what you sign up for. He's the champ, and I can't say anything about it. Maybe when I beat him, when I defend the title, then I can say, hey, let's try to nudge the UFC and do it here or do it there. But I'm the challenger, and I understand that role.
All right.
I got a long climb to go over there and pull off the upset.
After you beat Khabib, which is your plan, who will you be defending against, Donald Cerrone or Tony Ferguson?
Dude, with the UFC, you never know. I'm going to be defending against Max Holloway. I'm no telling. I'm just kidding. I think Cowboy wins that fight.
Okay.
But we'll see. I'm not even looking that far ahead. I never do that. I never disrespect the work that needs to be done, and I have a lot ahead of me with this Khabib fight.
All right. So we've heard from Poirier. We've heard a little bit from Conor. You guys have heard from us. Join in the conversation. Call in at 877-FIGHT-93, 877-344-4893. We'd love to hear what you think, Junkie Nation. We'll be right back. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 156. All right, we're back. Nick Newell and Aljamain Sterling will be joining us a little bit later in the show. Let's keep talking here about sportsmanship, Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier, Khabib, all that good stuff. 877-FIGHT-93, 877-344-4893. Right now, we're going to go to the hotline. Who do we got, Goes?
We got Mikey, New York.
What's up, Mikey? How are you?
Yo, what's up, bro?
What's up?
Yo, what's going on?
Not much, man.
You can't even put Khabib and McGregor in the same sentence, my man. McGregor is a bum. No talent. Got punched and knocked down. Khabib shouldn't even give him a rematch. He's not ready for Khabib.
Mm-hmm.
And he tapped out. McGregor is an alcoholic and he's a bum. He's no good for nothing. He should quit the MMA and go sell whiskey. He does better at that than fighting.
All right, but here's the thing. Habib, if in any way he's motivated by money, which he has clearly stated many times that he's not, all right? But his manager does.
That's the problem in the sport today. It became about money. It's not
Right.
about money. It's about the sport. And the only reason why McGregor gets fights is because,
Picture today, Mikey. Tomorrow when you go to work, you can go do your regular job, all right? And you'll get paid whatever said. We're not going to discuss your salary, but whatever your salary is, you'll get paid that. Or you can go to another side project and just take a day off from your job, but get paid many more times as much. Maybe 5 times as much. You're gonna give it some. You're gonna sit down and talk about that with your family or your friends or whoever, or at least yourself. You're gonna give it some consideration. Like, well, I really don't want to do the side project, but that's kind of hard money to turn down. You know what I mean? So that's the only reason why it would happen. All right, is if Khabib just decided that he wants to make another big payday, because he's already stated that he wants Dustin next. So has Dana White. Like, there's already kind of like a location set. So I think this is just Conor McGregor last minute, making this plea. Remember, whatever doesn't work for this fight, it could possibly work for the next.
I got a question for both of you.
Sure.
If Khabib says he's not about the money, and he hates Conor McGregor as much as he does and everything he stands for, wouldn't there be an argument to just say, why would you want to put that money in his pocket if money doesn't mean anything to you?
It's not about money. It's
right?
not a principle. McGregor is a bum. He shouldn't even be in line right now. There's other people like George St. Pierre, Dustin Poirier. McGregor is a bum. He should quit the game. He's not ready. He's a drunk. He should quit the sport.
All right. Thank you very much for the call. Look, he lost his last fight. I wouldn't call him a bum. He did win 2 world titles.
Beating some good fighters.
Held them at the same time. Yeah. So he lost his last fight. Yeah. He got waxed. Yeah. Has he been partying a lot? Yeah. So there's a few things I agree with what you're saying, but the man can fight. All right, let's go to is the Showtime is up next? Showtime in Tennessee. What's up, Showtime? It's yo time.
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
What's up, man?
Come on, man. We talking about this bullshit. Conor talking about he don't deserve this fight, man. Let Dustin go on and get this fight. I'm so damn tired of Conor just bucking the line and jumping the line. I don't care that you're a big draw. This the only sport that they do all that crap in, man, is let people just jump the line because they got a bigger buzz and shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's why a lot of people don't take this sport serious, man.
Mm-hmm.
But
Let me ask you a question.
That, man. But
Let me ask you a quick question. And I already kind of know the answer, but I want to put this as food for thought for others. Do you think most of the MMA fandom would actually get more pleasure out of paying $60 to see Khabib whoop Conor again than the possibility that Dustin might give Khabib his first loss? So let me put it in perspective. Watching Dustin, if he can give Khabib his first loss, whether that would be pretty cool, if you're a Poirier fan or just an MMA fan, like if you don't necessarily are attached to either guy, or if Khabib can defend, and it's a great fight, whatever. I mean, there's something to that. There's some sort of an emotional value to that. But there's also an emotional value to just look at Mikey from New York. I mean, he can't stand Conor McGregor. Showtime's pretty much over Conor McGregor. But is there a value to paying to watch maybe him go out there and get his ass whooped?
I think the guy that walks down the steps with his hot dog and his beer and a bucket of popcorn in his arms
And a phone, number one phone,
probably would agree with that.
that he'd rather watch McGregor get his ass whooped.
Probably.
Than maybe Poirier
yeah.
possibly.
The guy that's in the arena. I think the guy at home might want something different.
Right, and the reason is because McGregor connected with that guy one way or another. He either high-fived him or he poked him, right? And in most cases now it seems like he's poked him. Now, granted, McGregor still has a ton of fans everywhere, but there's been a lot of fans that he poked, and the ones that he poked basically pumped that fist in there and said, "You're going to get yours one day," you know what I mean? And I guess in this case maybe it's courtesy of Khabib, but believe it or not, Showtime, there's some people that still want to see that, and that's why the pay-per-view is what sometimes talks. Now, all this said, fellas, I don't think it's going to happen. But go ahead, Showtime. I hijacked your call there.
Yeah, man. Let's talk about some guys just fighting their asses off tonight, man. It's PFL, man. That's what I wanted to mention too. Is some, I want to see what these guys look like tonight. This from with Lance fighting tonight, Harrison fighting tonight. I'm actually got it playing right now as I'm about to stop here in about 10 minutes, and I'm gonna watch it a little bit more thoroughly. But what you guys takes on those fights tonight?
Well, yeah, we've had
seen some of them.
Ray Seffo and Eve Edwards on our show, and now that we're a primetime show, it's a little bit different for us because the fights are happening as we do them, and I think there's a little bit of a courtesy that when it's just a couple hours and people are driving home, we're not going to sit here and give out spoilers, but we are telling you that we're watching them and we're aware of what's happening right now, and there's some pretty eyebrow raisers.
It seems pretty fun so far. Yeah. From what I've seen, they've been fun.
Yeah. We'll be catching some of the replays when we get home. But man, looks like there's some fighting going on in Uniondale, New York.
Okay, man, you guys have fun. I see some of the junkies out there, man, and I'm actually jealous, man. That I'm not going to even talk about the wrestling stuff that they're going to. I actually would have came out there too if I would have been able to make it.
Right on, my man. We'll pass that on. Take care, Showtime.
All right.
All right.
Okay, guys.
All right, later. Let's talk to Marco in Waco, Texas. What's up, Marco?
Marco from Waco. ¿Qué pasa, vatos?
¿Qué pasa, man?
It's been a minute.
Yeah. How you been?
Hey, you're talking to this guy, Mikey from New York, man. I saw for a second you were talking to Alia de la Seis, man, calling Conor a bomb or whatever. Now, Conor is not a bomb, man. He's a really good fighter, two-time champion. He just on a 2-2 MMA record in his last 4. But, he didn't lose 2 bombs either. But I'm not going to believe anything that Conor said about having a rematch or anything until I see him getting inside the cage, because he teased us with the freaking Cerrone fight for almost freaking 3 months, man. He kept talking about Cerrone, and everybody wanted a Cerrone-McGregor fight, and it never happened. So I'm not going to – this guy is not even fighting once a year, man. I think at this pace he's going to probably fight in December if he can make a fight with somebody, and he needs to get a freaking tune-up fight. Otherwise, freaking Khabib is just going to do the same shit to him that he did in the last fight. I'm pulling for the Dustin versus Khabib fight, and that's just the bottom line. It's a fight that needs to happen. I probably will happen because Abu Dhabi is a good market for them. They were former partners, and they want to please the freaking chicks up there. Peace out, bro.
All right.
He
said cheeks, not chicks.
Yeah, I actually did think he said chicks.
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure that out. He brought up a very interesting point. Okay. To be one of the best in the world, you have to remain active. It's such a high level of competition that you can't take time off and just show up and say, I'm here, I'm ready to fight for a title. You can't do that. Okay. I think, this is my opinion, in his head, I think he knows he's probably not, he's amongst some of the greatest, but I think he just knows that you probably can't put together 5 fights in a row or anything like that. They're killers. They're all killers.
Right.
Okay? So what I'm thinking he's thinking, it's not so much about the money, I don't think. I think it's if he fights Khabib one more time and he loses, you can get away with saying, well, I lost to who's probably going to end up being the greatest lightweight of all time. No shame in that. Give me another matchup, and I'll build up a Donald Cerrone or whatever matchup, a Kevin Lee matchup, a Justin Gaethje matchup. But if he were to not take that fight and fight, say, Justin Gaethje and get mopped up, that's going to be harder to sell another fight after that. Same thing with Floyd. If you go and you make all kinds of money and you get tooled up by Floyd again, what are people going to say? Well, he is the greatest of all time. No shame in that. It's another life. Pretend you're playing a video game. He's trying to buy another life.
Yeah. Well,
I get it.
Conor has a few plays here. One, the lightweight division is the one he's currently in. A drop to featherweight, although I don't see that as likely anymore. I mean, it's not like you ever see a video, even when he's suited up. But it's not like you ever see a video of him or a picture and go, wow, he's let himself go. I mean, it could be. I mean, if Daniel Cormier in his late 30s was dropping to 205, then I could see Conor McGregor maybe still being able to do it. I guess that said, DC had the room to do that. But I feel like there's maybe a 5% chance of playing the featherweight card. There's a really high percentage of playing the lightweight card. I think there's also 5% chance of the inaugural 165 card. But here's one thing that I haven't been able to thump my chest on. Do you remember when I used to tell you, if Thompson can beat Woodley, I could see Conor saying, I'll fight Thompson for the third title, because conveniently it's something he wouldn't have to sweat. He wouldn't have to sweat that wrestler, the grappler, who in Woodley's case also had the power. You know what I mean? So that would have been a bitch. But the fact that Woodley had wrestling credentials with Thompson, he wouldn't have had to sweat that much. And what happened to Thompson recently? A guy that fought at lightweight and at one point featherweight knocked him out cleanly. Now I'm not predicting that Conor would have done that, but the possibility was there. Conor stands back and whatever he sees is happening, and he sees an opening. Boom, I'm in. If Pacquiao were to beat Thurman but not look good, I bet you Pacquiao will be the flavor of the month.
Probably.
All right. If Thurman waxes Pacquiao, he wants nothing to do with Thurman. The reason he'll fight Floyd is because he doesn't care to lose. He's already lost to him once. He doesn't care to lose him again. But no, it's the biggest payday out there. Khabib, sure, I think he'll take the rematch. But I think he wants to see what Dustin has to offer. Plus, what if Dustin wins? Conor can say, I beat that guy. I should be next. I should jump the queue ahead of the winner of Cerrone and Ferguson. I should jump the queue ahead of the Gaethjes of the world and anybody else that has a say at 155. It's me. And guess what? He would be able to pull it off. So right now he's just chirping, keeping his name out there. Man. If at some point Tony Robbins, because I haven't heard the whole thing, but if at some point Tony Robbins goes, all right, let's change the subject. Tell me about that whiskey. You see what I'm saying? He's out there. He's being a businessman. He's being smart. It's just that along the way, there's just some ridiculousness to his comments. But I think when you're rich and powerful and famous, you start to have no shame. You know, you don't.
It's not ridiculous. You don't really get what you want.
You don't really go on Twitter to go, what? So and so. You know, the 123 kid on Twitter called me out. You know, he doesn't care. He doesn't even look at it. He's probably having a good laugh. And with that, that's the end of that subject for today. All right, let's take another break here. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 156. Stay close. We'll be right back. We'll talk a little bit about the latest rankings put out by USA Today Sports and MMA Junkie.
Agree on anything.
Everybody knows it's duck season.
Rabbit season.
Duck season.
Rabbit season.
Whether it's food,
Less filling.
Tastes great.
Less filling.
Tastes great.
gambling,
Always bet on black.
I like red.
Black.
Red.
Black.
Red.
Black, dummy.
or even social media,
Instagram.
Snapchat.
Instagram.
Snapchat.
the same applies to the biggest stories in MMA. Time for MMA Junkie Radio's Daily Debate.
Well, this goes against what I was saying, that we were done with talking about this topic of McGregor and Habib and etc. But here we go. We got to finish up with the daily debate, and then we'll move on. Today's daily debate question for at MMA Junkie Radio, a.k.a. Goes and I today. Should Conor McGregor fight Justin Gaethje next, or wait on the winner of another matchup? Here are your choices, Goes. Yes, Gaethje. Habib Poirier, if it's booked, for Ferguson Cerrone, that is booked and happening soon. Pettis Diaz, that is booked. Although with Diaz, you just never know until they start the fight that fight's happening. That's sometime in August. The Habib Poirier fight's rumored for September, but look, it's looking pretty good. What's your choice here?
This is so tough because I want to say wait out Habib and see what happens because you know that the organization wants that. They want to make that. That's what's going to make you a lot of money. And if you lose for some reason to Habib again, people are just going to say, well, I lost to one of the greatest lightweights, probably be one of the greatest of all time. It buys you another life. I want to say wait for Justin or just take the Justin fight because at the end of the day, guys have hit Justin Gaethje before. And isn't that what Conor's got, right? Power. So you stand a good shot. This guy's going to stand in front of you. You land a good shot, then you do probably get your shot. But I'm going to say wait for Habib.
Okay. I would say Gaethje. And I'll tell you why. Because the winner of Ferguson Cerrone, if I knew it, then it'd be easier to answer. But if I say, nope, the winner, then I'm basically saying, let's say Ferguson wins, that Conor McGregor should fight Tony Ferguson. And Tony Ferguson would go, are you fucking kidding me? I'm 15-1. Why would I have to fight another person when I should be fighting for the title? They took my title away, my interim title. I didn't lose it. So I don't think it would work there. If Pettis beat Diaz, I wouldn't want him to fight Pettis because he's 1-1 with Diaz. I want to see that trilogy settled first. And therefore, I don't even think Diaz should be fighting Pettis. I thought it should have been Conor.
Those can be warmed up at any time, though, right?
Yeah, I guess, Pettis carries a big name because of a WEC and UFC belt. So who knows? Maybe if he beats Diaz and has an awesome call-out, then maybe him and Conor would work. But I think Gaethje, man. Gaethje right now, and I'll tell you when. Gaethje and McGregor in Abu Dhabi on the same night as Conor and Habib.
There's no way they'll do that over there, though.
I have a feeling you're right.
There's no way they could do that.
The reason I like it is because of insurance. Look what happened with Lawler and Woodley. It fell out. Boom. They brought the other guys from 1 week in the future to just come in, Dos Santos and Ngannou. So let's say we were to book a card with McGregor and Gaethje. But see, that's a pay-per-view, and they just don't book pay-per-views that close to each other. The next pay-per-view is in Australia, and how do you tell Robert Whittaker he's not walking out last when he defends against or tries to unify against Izzy? You see what I'm saying? So now if you throw McGregor all the way till November, I guess, sure, I'll still watch it, but I wanted it closer to the timeline of the champion.
If that fight were to take place in New York or Las Vegas, then I would say do it. Do it that way. Go all in.
Gaethje and McGregor?
Yes.
Well, they're November 2nd, they're going to New York.
But they want Habib in Abu Dhabi.
No, I thought you meant Conor versus Gaethje.
No, I'm saying if you were to book them as an insurance policy,
yeah,
I would do that.
All right. Well, that's nothing to sneeze at, goes what you're saying. So,
right.
But
Gaethje's it's a dangerous matchup, but he does stand a chance. I feel ya, but we all know what Conor wants.
If Gaethje used his wrestling the way Gregor Gillespie did, he wouldn't even be in the equation. Conor McGregor would not even be talking about it. But he does it. He likes to stand and bang, and he's exciting as hell. So I think him and Conor McGregor would be great. All right, look, a lot of votes came in, 1,627. And it was pretty balanced attack. I guess Gaethje was far and above the answer that most chose at 47%. 27% said the winner of Ferguson Cerrone. I get it, but if it's Ferguson, I don't get it. If it's Cerrone, yeah, I could be into that. 14% for Pettis and Diaz.
Hmm.
But I think most of them are just like boom, focusing on Diaz. You ever seen the cartoons when the eyeballs are popping out?
Mm-hmm.
They're just thinking if Diaz wins. And then last, it was Khabib and Poirier, which I don't know. Poirier and McGregor have a little bit of history. He's an exciting fighter, so you know it'd be a firecracker of a fight. Khabib and Conor, we saw it once, but I think it's too big of a fight to not be talked into part 2. All right, there you have it. There's today's Daily Debate, brought to you by Georgian Goes.
MMA Junkie Radio.
All right, so the rankings came out. On Tuesday, to be more exact. Ian Hines had a move, Goes. He's 13-1 overall, but he beat the guy ahead of him, or beat a guy ahead of him. Not right ahead of him, but ahead of him. And that's why he had one of the notable moves here, all right? He is now at number 15. Antonio Carlos Jr., who had a 5-fight win streak, he drops to the honorable mentions. Also, the pound for pound for women's, that got a little bit of a shakeup. At the very top, of course, is Amanda Nunes, followed by Valentina Shevchenko, Chris Cyborg, Jessica Andrade, Rose Namajunas, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Julia Budd, Ilima Lei McFarlane, 2 champions over at Bellator, Ketlin Vera, who's got a knee injury, she's coming back for Tatiana Suarez, and then Aspen Ladd made a move.
Nice.
Yeah. Felicia Spencer made a move. Jessica I also was brought up. Megan Anderson had to take a little bit of a hit because she now lost to
how many spots did she go down?
2 spots.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's 8-4 overall, and that loss just kind of hurt her in the division. These losses can be a setback when you're a contender anywhere from 6 to 18 months. She's not in it. She's in a shallow pool, so it may not be as bad. Sijara Eubanks also took a little bit of a fall with her loss. Nico Montana, Kayla Harrison, and Claudia Gadelia are the ones that are left. Now, here's a move that I thought was interesting. You want to say something?
Well, I was going to say, Sijara, did she just tumble a little bit? Because she did fight.
She just fell out of honorable mention into, I guess, what would be the 19th spot, we'll say.
Okay, she's in the lobby.
Right, because she had 3 great fights on the reality show, but outside the reality show, she's just 4-2 or 4-3 now, I believe. 2 losses are to Ladd. That's not the end of the world, But, I mean, we're talking about there's other fighters that have like 9, 10 wins or even more than that and no losses. So I see promise in Sijara Eubanks. She's strong. She's learning how to kickbox a little bit better. She's got power, pretty damn good jiu-jitsu. So I think she can do well in this sport. But now that she's kind of committed to one weight class, let's see what kind of a run she can have. At lightweight, though, we did have one little tweak. Even though Kevin Lee fought at welterweight, his spot was being held as a lightweight. However, we don't know what's up with Kevin Lee and what's next for him. We think he's going to stay at welterweight, at least for one more fight. But Gagey needed to move up a little bit because he's just been looking good, in his last couple fights. So he moved up to number 6. Number 7 was Kevin Lee. Go to MMAJunkie.com and hit the rankings tab at the top. You can check out some of the moves that are made every Tuesday, courtesy of the MMA Junkie staff. It's the top of the hour break. We'll be back in 60 seconds. Don't touch that dial.
MMA Junkie Radio.
All right, we're back. Currently, right now, PFL is going to be switching over from ESPN2 to ESPN Plus. Check them out. There's already some results coming in. They got the lightweights and the featherweights going today. 6 fights at feather, 6 fights at light. I take it back. I believe one of the fights was canceled, and was it Ramsey Nijam that's just moving on without having to fight?
I think so. They had some weight problems too.
Yeah. So tune in to ESPN Plus and hear the call of Sean O'Connell, a Season 1 winner from the light heavyweight division, Eve Edwards, and Randy Couture. I didn't hear Boss's voice last week. Is he not part of the season, or was he just missing in action last week?
I don't know. I remember when we spoke to who was it? I think it was Eve. When we spoke to Eve, he had said that the team was a little bit shorter, but I didn't know if that was just for that week or what. But
okay.
I mean, I like the way they are now. Now, I think that's actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Let's give a shout out to our friends at Busted Open. Tomorrow, Breakfast with Busted Open Radio returns to StarCast events. So tomorrow, Friday, May 24th, from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific. That's 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern if you're going to listen to it here on SiriusXM by Nation Channel 156. But if you're in the Vegas area at the Tuscany Casino in Las Vegas, it's free to the public, and their show is going to be loaded with guests. So go out there and check it out. Dave LaGreca and Mark Henry on the call, but when they say they're going to have some special guests, they are also going to bring in some others. So come out there and check it out and have a good time. And if I can wake up in early, I may head towards the Tuscany Suites.
Yeah?
Yeah, check it out. Yeah.
I listened to JR.
And all this is because of AEW's in town, man. It's there's a lot of people that came in for that event from everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What were we saying?
I listened to JR's podcast, the one about Owen Hart.
How was it?
Man, that was...
You caught the whole thing?
I caught the whole thing. It's almost 3 hours long. And you could tell it was really, really tough for him to talk about, but he did. He answered every question. He was getting asked very good questions, by the way. And but he did say that he thinks that's going to be the last time he ever talks about it.
Oh, wow.
Because it took him back to that place, and it was...
So for those that don't know, it was a pro wrestling event. I think it was Kansas City, Missouri. And Owen Hart was coming to the ring kind of like via a zip line, we'll say, right?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, as he was coming down, there was a equipment malfunction, and he fell to his death. And when he fell 20 feet in front of Jim Ross, who was ringside for that event. He was a vice president of talent relations, and so he was the one that made these relationships happen, whether it was recruiting or bringing over a free agent to be part of the WWE stable. He had that type of relationship, a really, really good relationship with Owen Hart. So this one really, really hit home for him. He really, really liked the guy, and again, to witness his death, man, up close like that can't be easy to recall and talk about.
I didn't know this, but I guess they had put in this new latch so that he's able to just get out of it really quick once he gets into the ring. And his, what is this, the cape or whatever? Is that what it's called?
Cape?
The cape? Yeah.
I guess.
Because he was he was the Blue Blazer, right? He had a cape. I guess it was really heavy and it would bother him, and sometimes it would shift. And I guess as he was taken off, he went to kind of rearrange that, and that movement might have hit the release thing. And
wow.
Man, it sucks so bad. That guy was fun. Do you remember when we used to sneak down? I mean, we can talk about it now.
Sure.
But yeah, he was like one of the nicer guys where you just go, hey, can I take a picture? No problem. Really cool.
Woo!
Woo! Woo!
His woo was different.
It was different.
Yeah. Here's some news. UFC parent company Endeavor is going public. 2 months after the rumors of an initial public offering, which was supposed to be by year's end, Endeavor, the entertainment giant, which is fronted by Ari Emanuel and Patrick Whitesell, they have filed paperwork with the Securities and Exchange Commission. The company plans to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange as EDR. This was first reported by The Hollywood Reporter. How about that? You going to get some stock?
No.
What about you, Josh?
I believe Josh is out. Mike is covering, though. Mike, you going to get stock?
I kind of doubt that.
Okay, he's not going to get it either.
Nope.
All right.
I think what it does make interesting, though, correct me if I'm wrong, is now you get to see their books, right?
Yes. Yeah. Not all of them, but you do get to see they have shareholders to answer to. And so, yeah, I guess especially if you're a shareholder, I'm sure you have access to a lot. But a lot of money is going to be raised, and I don't know. We'd like to get a financial expert to really, really explain this and break this down for us. But back to X's and O's, back to the actual sport. How about this matchup? Rafael Assunção versus Corey Sandhagen on tap for UFC 241.
Damn.
UFC 241 is not playing around, folks.
They might as well be fighting in a phone booth.
It takes place on August 17th at the Honda Center in Anaheim, California. That fight card already has Daniel Cormier versus Stipe Miocic 2, Anthony Pettis versus Nate Diaz. We just talked about it in the daily debate. Paulo Costa versus Yoel Romero. So that 1, 2, 3, we were really, really we were talking about that the other day. I mean, we were ecstatic about it'd be hard to top 3 fight bookings on a fight card in our hometown of Orange County, California, which is where Anaheim's located. Now you're adding Sandhagen versus Assunção. Like, this is where the bullshit is supposed to come. And the UFC goes, hey, man, we just gave you those 3. We got to just
It's a little bit of a hardcore matchup.
We just got to give you some matchups that get some guys, some fights and fulfill contracts. Leave us alone. Instead, that is an awesome matchup, man. That right there is, I mean, look, it's not the greatest of all time. I'm just saying, but it's still, the drop-off isn't far at all.
But it's for hardcore.
Sandhagen is a up-and-coming superstar. Rafael Assunção, I mean, he's definitely put in his time. I think he's 12-2 as a bantamweight in the UFC. So, yeah, it's a hardcore matchup, but still.
But it works out in everybody's favor. I mean, let's be honest.
Sandhagen just won on Big ESPN, so I think a lot of people are going to be familiar with what he's done.
I don't know that a lot of Sandhagen and Assunção Reebok kits are being bought, but this is going to work out for everyone because this is going to be an awesome fight.
Yeah, I love it. That was a really, really cool matchup to see. All right. We are going to be talking to Nick Newell and Aljamain Sterling back-to-back here. But just a couple more bits of news. Right now, the PFL has their fights going on. Check out ESPN Plus, the same home of the UFC, is now the home for PFL. They started off on ESPN2 earlier today, and now they're on ESPN Plus, lightweights and featherweights. Sage Northcutt shared an update from the hospital. He's definitely getting a lot better, but that dude had multiple broken bones in his face, and he underwent surgery for 9 hours. Can you believe that?
Dude, that's a long time, man. To be under like that.
8 facial fractures is what he had.
And he's still in good spirits. He's such a good kid.
A 9-hour surgery for that was a great punch, but did it look like something that was that different from what we see all the time in MMA?
No. Like, when you look at Cyborg and the way he reacted when he got kneed by MVP, that's the type of reaction when you go, whoa, not only is that a KO, something might be wrong here, right? You didn't really get that feeling from that type of KO, but that is brutal.
So how hard does this Cosmo Alexander hit, man?
Hey,
check this out.
Great striker.
Essentially, according to Uriah Faber, that punch splintered his cheek into 30 pieces and broke his orbital bone. He had 8 different fractures, and literally they had to pick the pieces of the bone fragments out. 30 different pieces out of his face. It's fucking gross to even think about all that happening in your face, and yet they had to. It's like they were gluing gluing a little model toy back together or something.
Yeah,
that's horrific.
That makes sense why it took that long.
Yeah,
and then to think that, so now, I guess us regular folk, something like that happens to you. I mean, you see how you are with your knee injury, George, coming back from that. He's gonna go back and do this all again.
And imagine how he's going to feel when he gets punched there. Remember every time Koscheck, he had his orbital bone
by
broken.
GSP.
Right. And every time someone even got close, he would start to wipe. He had that little tick. He would just wipe. Not like the wiping would do anything, but I think it was just in his head.
To make sure everything's okay.
I guess, yeah, is what he would do. And it's something that's going to stay with him for a long time. And I don't even know how long the recovery is for something like that. That's nuts.
I mean, luckily he's young, but still, that might be the wake-up call for Sage Northcutt.
I mentioned Joe Diesel Riggs has a pro boxing debut coming up. I did this on a few shows ago. It got canceled, man. The opponent withdrew. You know, Joe Riggs, one time in Anaheim, California, this was 2007 before one of the afflictions. He told me what he made the year before. And Joe Riggs at the time wasn't one of the bigger stars. But at the time when he could get like sponsorship and a couple fights, he actually told me what he won. And I just remember going, wow, that's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Jake Shields is another guy that told me what he made back around that time as well. And for back then, it was pretty good money.
Yeah.
Yeah. For now, it would be at least $500,000, like with using the scale now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not going to tell you what he told me back then, but I'd say now it would be kind of like one of those two telling me, yeah, I make about $500,000 a year, where you go, really? Like, nice, you know, fist bump for you or whatever. But that's when they could do a little bit of some sponsorship and stuff like that. And Riggs and Shields both had a good measure of popularity. So, but the sponsorships, they were writing some big ass checks back then.
Ross Pearson went to boxing again too. Got
Did
a
he?
win there. Yeah.
All right.
And Akiyama is going to one championship.
I saw that, and that's coming up pretty soon too. All right, one last thing. Juan Adams is fighting Greg Hardy. They're gonna be fighting UFC on ESPN4 in San Antonio, Texas. So that's happening in July. Adams has been very vocal about the fact that he despises Greg Hardy.
Mm-hmm.
Not, I think he's a silly goose. I don't see eye to eye. I mean, actual hatred towards Greg Hardy, and he really, really wanted that fight. So the build-up for that one will be interesting, especially if you put him on a conference call or send him out there to do some sort of some PR. You know,
they won't do that. Right?
I don't think so either.
I don't think they will.
That's two big dudes, and that's going to be bad PR. But I tip my hat for the UFC not running away from something like this and saying, okay, this guy doesn't agree with your alleged past, and I'm sure he's going to put it out there.
But leave it at that. Because,
Yeah.
like you said, that would be an awful PR move to get those guys on any type of call or anything like that. Nothing good is going to come out of that for you.
Yep. All right, we're going to take our break here. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 156. When we come back, we'll be talking to Nick Newell, who's going to be fighting at CES next week. We'll follow that with Aljamain Sterling.
Take it away, ladies.
CES MMA 56 takes place on May 31st at the Connecticut Convention Center in Hartford, Connecticut. On that fight card is Nick Newell, 14-2 overall in his career. Most recently appeared in the Dana White Contender Series this past July, and now he's back in action again. He joins us now on the hotline. What's up, Nick? How you doing? Welcome back to MMA Junkie Radio.
Hey, what's going on? Glad to be back on.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us here. I got Goes with me as well. I wanted to ask you about 2018. You were able to come back after a 2.5-year layoff, and you were able to get that big fight there at the Dana White Contender Series. And even though it didn't go well, how would you say 2018 was for you in terms of like personal growth and satisfaction?
I mean, overall, 2018 was probably the best year of my life because my son was born, and that was just such a wonderful gift to have him in my life now and grow as an individual, mature as a person because of that. I had that fight and I worked. I've been a pro for 10 years, and it didn't go my way. People have their good days, bad days, and when it counted, I didn't get the W. I thought it was a good fight. It was a competitive fight, but there were little areas where I faltered and he was a little bit better. So that's the way things go, But I still know that I'm elite. I know where I stand, and I know what I'm capable of. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. Did you? Even though it wasn't your night, were you glad that you at least got that shot that you had always wanted?
Yeah, I'm glad I got the shot. It was cool to fight in there. I started watching MMA because of the Ultimate Fighter, so to fight where it all started for me was kind of cool. I didn't really let that get to me or anything like that, but it was very cool to fight there because it's like one of that's the place where I fell in love with MMA is watching it there, and season 1. So now that this season they're moving everything and they're selling that place or whatever they're doing with it, it was kind of cool to be one of the last people to fight there. Right.
What are your goals now, Nick? After CES or not this fight, and after that, like what do you have mapped out for yourself for your career?
Really, I still want the big fights, whether it be get to the UFC, fight on New Year's in Japan, fight overseas in China, or get on one of the big fights at Bellator, like Madison Square Garden or something like that, main card fight, would mean a lot to me. I want these big fights. Now I'm 33 years old, and I don't want to stand still. I don't want to fight and then be in the same spot, So at CES, I have to make a statement.
Mm-hmm. And Nick, were you ever in contact with your old employers, now known as the PFL? They were WSOF at one point. I mean, you made it to a title fight, and there's no shame in losing to the guy you did because that guy's one of the top lightweights in the world right now.
Yeah, if you look at the fight, I mean, for Justin Gaethje, I heard him on the feet multiple times. It wasn't my night, and MMA math isn't really doesn't always work, but I did better than two guys that are ranked top 10 in the world against him. So I definitely don't think that I'm by any means like out of my element competing in the UFC. The guy I fought is like a big up and comer who's very heralded, and no one wanted to fight him. That's why he didn't have like a big record. But I was like, screw it, I'll fight him. I don't care. When they gave it to me, I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then Justin Gaethje was 11-0, and there wasn't a ton of people lining up to fight him. There were a few, but I was like, yeah, let's do it. So PFL, I think, is actually like, I love watching the PFL. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I want to compete in a tournament like that, though. You know.
Why is that?
To be honest,
you're a wrestler.
I want to.
I would think that's down your alley.
What?
You're a wrestler. I would think that was down your alley.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to it. You know, the money and everything would talk, but I don't know. I had goals, and it was the UFC, and that the Contender Series didn't work out. So I'm just taking a step back, and I'm fighting on CES, which is a big regional show.
Right.
And that's really what I care about. You know, I want to. The main thing with this fight is for me to make a statement. So, like the PFLs, the Bellators, the UFC, stuff like that, will reach out to me and be like, "Damn, I want this guy." You know, like.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. CES 56 taking place on May 31st. Our guest, Nick Newell, he'll be fighting Calvin Hackney on that fight card. It takes place in Hartford, Connecticut. You can watch the fights on the UFC Fight Pass. All right, goes. What do you have for Nick Newell?
Nick, I've heard you say before how much being a dad has changed you as a person. What about as a fighter? Do you feel like it's changed you at all in those regards?
No. I mean, I always show up. People are like, "Oh, now I know what I'm fighting for." Like, I always hated losing, so like it doesn't make a difference now that I have a son. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta really win this. Like, there's no extra pressure to win or any like extra motivation on my part. I know that sounds kind of like a scummy thing to say, but I've always been really motivated to win. The positives that I get out of being a father is that it's made me more responsible as a human being. The things I do, the way I manage my time, and my appreciation for life itself, and what a gift it is, and how important it is to be like the best person you can be. That's what's important to me. You know, that's what I really care about. So, you know, I really, it's helped me mature as a person, as a fighter, and as a competitor. I'm still the same guy, you know, but it's like I just kind of have to learn how to manage my time a little bit better.
Earlier when we were talking a little bit about PFL and their format, you said that you weren't too down with tournaments, but what about, like, you had mentioned Japan, Bellator, and they both do tournaments, but they do theirs a little bit different, right? Staggered. Would you be open to doing something like that?
I don't know. I shouldn't have said that I'm not into tournaments. Actually, I love the PFL. I watch all their shows, and I just got done at the gym, but I'm about to check the results right now because a bunch of people I know are fighting on it. A guy I've trained with before, Nate Andrews, is fighting. I don't know if he fought yet, but I'm really interested in it. And you know, at the end of the day, like I always say, oh, this, that, you know, and then someone presents it, and I'm like, yeah, screw it, let's do it. You know, that's just the type of guy I am. I'm pretty much down for anything. So I wouldn't say I wouldn't do a tournament. If anything, I have the mental fortitude to compete multiple times in one night.
How old is your son? Tell us about him. How old is he, and what's his age?
Okay. My son, Wyatt Newell, is 5 months old.
Oh, nice. And
he is just the coolest little kid you'll ever meet in your life.
This is your first
happy,
kid?
always smiling. Yeah. And he's just a pleasure to be around. He doesn't cry that much. He's pretty good at nighttime, you know, pretty good.
All right.
And I just love being a father. I love spending time with him. And the firsts are the best. So when you get to show him something for the first time, or when he starts saying words for the first time, and he just said his first word a couple months ago. He knows how to say mom.
Nice.
So he's already saying mom. So I'm like, okay, I see how it is.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's probably the first word you said, to be fair, Nick.
I'm lucky to have him and very appreciative. What'd you say?
That's probably the first word you said, too. So, to be fair, I don't think Wyatt was out of line. We all gravitate to the mothers.
I don't even know what mine is. Do you know what yours is?
Well, my wife is a speech pathologist.
Ah, yeah.
She had the inside track.
So, yeah. So she told me, and she's like very, very intelligent woman. She said Dada is easier to say for a baby, so he'll probably say Dada first.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, and I got all hyped and expecting it, and then he let out that mom. And I was like, oh, man, come on, dude. Why are you going to play me like that?
What about as you're doing a camp? Has there is Wyatt cooperated? Like, do you need to pull away from family a little bit, or do you still have your daddy duties?
No, of course. Obviously, it's more difficult. The thing is, some guys can have some kids and go away for a little while and stuff like that, but I don't really like to be away from them for too long. You know, that's just my personal preference. But I do definitely spend more time away from him now, and I'm with him a lot less than I normally would be. This morning, I did like a nice couple miles, and then I got up super early and I spent the day with him until I went to the gym tonight. You know, so like I try to make time to be with him, and it's he's worth it.
Man, that's awesome. It's awesome to hear you talk about your son like that. You know, we've known you for a while now, and you know, back then we wouldn't ask you a question like that because you were just this. I don't know if you were single because I don't remember if at the time you had a girlfriend or not, but you know what I mean. You weren't a father, and you were all so focused on fighting, and you know you had your goals, and now it seems like you still have the competition goals, competition side, of course, but it's pretty cool to hear you glowingly just talk about your son as well, and I think it lets us all know there's just more important things in life as well.
Yeah, I'll show up in my white New Balances and whoop your ass. You know, like it doesn't change the competitor in me just because I've been domesticated. I was like a little more wild. I can go around and do this and do that, and I don't do any of that stuff anymore. You know, on the weekends I'm falling asleep at 9 o'clock. I'm a different guy than I was back then. Not that I was ever a bad guy, you know, but I definitely have matured as a human being. So I'm appreciative of that, to be honest.
Yeah. All right. Hey, well, we look forward to the fight, man. I guess we're a week away or something like that, 8 days away. So, you know, whatever's left of camp, I hope it's safe for you. No last-minute injuries to you and the opponent, and we look forward to seeing the fight versus Calvin Hackney, and, of course, to see how 2019 shapes
my
up for you.
opponent actually, my opponent pulled out, and they switched the fight.
Who do you got now?
Antonio Castillo.
Is
so
he scarier
doesn't have
than
as good
Calvin
a record.
Hackney, or?
Yeah, he replaced Calvin Hackney. So he doesn't have as good a record, but it's whatever. It's a fight to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it doesn't really matter. My guys, like, they had a couple guys, and he fought a guy that I actually coach, and we, like, they thought that style-wise it would make for the most fun fight because I'm trying to, like, get recognized. You know, I'm trying to, like, oh, Nick did that, or Nick, this happened, and, like, he did, you know, so I thought he was the most fun fight, and someone, and that's who they went with, and that's who they wanted to go with, so we went with it, and it's fine. It's whatever. I know I'm going to do what I'm going to do anyway.
That'll work. All right. Nick, thanks for the time, man.
Yeah.
Great catching up with you, and can't wait to see your fight next Friday, May 31st.
Okay, definitely.
All right.
I'll talk to you
soon.
after.
All right. Thank you, Nick. Take care.
Okay.
You can follow Nick on Twitter. @Notorious Newell is his Twitter handle. Let him know you heard him on the @MMA Junkie Radio Show. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with Aljamain Sterling.
They are Gorgeous George and Goes, and this is MMA Junkie Radio.
Man, let me tell you, UFC 238 is, on paper, one of the nicest pay-per-views of the year. Got 2 title fights right at the top. We're going to have a new bantamweight champion. We got the women's flyweight champion defending. They just added Cerrone versus Ferguson. And then look at these mouth-watering matchups. Peter Yan versus Jimmy Rivera.
Love that.
Blagoy Ivanov versus Tai Tuivasa. Shoeys are going to be in the house. Tatiana Suarez versus Nina Ansaroff.
Yep.
Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Alexa Grasso.
Great
Ricardo Lamas versus Calvin Kattar.
Love it.
Crazy, huh? And then,
Yeah.
of course, I haven't even mentioned the one featuring our guest, Aljamain Sterling, who's been on fire as of late against Pedro Munoz. And to his credit, he's also been on a roll. Joining us now on the hotline is Aljamain Sterling. What's up, Aljo? Welcome back to MMA Junkie Radio.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Good. How you doing?
Good, man. I'm excited. Excited for June 8th. You guys just pumped me up.
Yeah. Hey, you're on ESPN. That's not a bad spot to be in. But were you bitter at all to not be in the spot where Rivera and Yan were? Was it Yan that stole a little bit of the shine there, or did you understand the strategy of maybe being on ESPN? Because I imagine the winner of this fight has got next.
Yeah, I would think so. I don't want to say I was bitter about it. I'm kind of used to it at this point. You know, I don't know if it's like my style of wrestling they don't like, even though you got the champ who's done the same thing, and Kamaru Usman, you got Kobe Covington who goes out there does the same exact thing. I guess what they want to see is me get my face busted up and get all battered and bleeding, and give the Just Bleed fans what they want. But I'm not really willing to oblige to that, so I'm gonna keep doing my thing, stay pretty out there, stay smooth, stay hard to hit, and just keep whooping ass.
I've never noticed that you go into cruise control, though. You either try and improve your position or you beat down on somebody. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see you going, like, for writing time to impress the judges or to write out a round or to play it safe. I mean, have I ever seen some of that? Yeah, I'm sure I've seen some of that because I've been covering you for 10 years now or wherever, however long you've been in the sport. But as of late, I haven't been seeing much of that. I've been seeing an effort to always improve positioning and to go out and dominate.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. You know, I definitely pride myself on being a finisher, but you know what, man, when you can't get the guys to the ground or the finish doesn't come when you get guys hurt, sometimes these top-level guys is not as easy as just 1, 2, 3, they're done, you know? So, you know, the higher I get in the competition, the harder it's going to be to put these guys away, but I'm constantly going out there to pitch shutouts and dominate the competition in any which way I can. Go out there and get a finish if it materializes. I'm definitely looking for it, and I'm never one to really coast on a lead, you know. So I don't know. I mean, I did hear one time the matchmaker kind of made a comment about this was a little while back. He wanted to give me the fight with Frankie Saenz in Australia when the fight fell through, and the reason why he gave me that matchup because he felt Frankie Saenz was going to give me a dog fight, and I don't know if he realizes, and maybe none of these guys realize yet, but I'm just not that type of fighter, and I think it's going to take a special individual to get me to fight that type of way when the chips are down and I need to go down and bite down on my mouthpiece and just go. Until then, I'm just going to keep doing what I do, man, and, you know, too tough, too smooth, too quick, and I can't be broken.
Was that a matchmaker who's no longer a matchmaker, or is that a current matchmaker that said that?
That is, I don't know if I should be saying it or not. I don't know if this going to be considered, like, behind closed door talk, but he never says it to me. This is what I heard word of mouth from my manager, my then manager, and he's still the current matchmaker. So
okay.
I mean, I don't know if I know he still has love for me or whatever it is, or mixed feelings towards me. I don't know. We've bumped heads in the past, but at the end of the day, they're pretty much my boss, you know. So,
right. And they're entitled to their opinion.
They're
entitled to their opinion, you know, and they've earned it, you know what I mean? So sometimes some people see some stuff some way or fight styles one way and others see it another way. Again, when I get home and I turn on that TV, I'm putting 206. I don't know if you have DirecTV like me, If you do, then you know what I'm talking about. I mean, come on, man. You're on ESPN. There's no way around that one. That's a nice – I don't even want to call it a consolation prize because I just think that's a great platform for your fight to be on anyway. So, just go out there and keep doing what you've been doing and then, let the millions on the sports leader hear what's next for you, which I imagine is the winner of that main event.
Yeah, you know what? I kind of look at this like a wrestling style tournament. Back to my D3 wrestling days at the NCAA's, or just even any tournament in general. This is the semifinals right now. I bust my ass to get here. You got the third and fourth ranked guy in the division who are matched up on the same side of the bracket. We both won our fights and battled our asses to get here. And now it's winner takes all. Winner gets to get to the final tournament spot in the finals for gold, and this is what we've all been working so hard for. I got a tough opponent in front of me. Well, one thing's for certain, and one thing I truly do believe, I am the best bantamweight in this division, and I'm going to go out there and prove it on tonight.
Joining us now on the hotline is Aljamain Sterling. Been fighting in the UFC for quite a while. His next fight is UFC 238 on June 8th in Chicago, Illinois. His opponent that night will be Pedro Munoz. All right, goes. What do you have for Aljamain Sterling?
Aljamain, on Twitter, you are one of the funnest follows that I have. And what I like is when you go back and forth with Pedro here and there, it's hard to tell. I feel like that's just you, but at the same time, there's times where I think he might be doing this because it seems like it really bothers Pedro. And it feels like the fight has already started, and it started there. Am I right or am I wrong?
No, I agree, but it's definitely part of me, man. I grew up in Unity. I grew up in Roosevelt. We talk shit to each other all day long. Me and my boys, we break each other's balls, and it's all a good sport. At the end of the day, it's all love, And this is kind of the same thing, except it's not really much love because we're going to really go out there and actually try to beat the shit out of each other and separate each other from our consciousness. That's what the ultimate goal we're trying to do to each other. So let's call it what it is. But the stuff I said to Pedro, I don't think I made anything up. I don't think I fabricated anything. This is what the commission said, and a fan tweeted this thing to me, and I completely forgot about that failed drug test. And that failed drug test, it was him and I think 3 other guys from the same camp that failed for all of the same things. So I don't know where his gripe was. I guess he was really upset about it that I even brought it up. I understand that, but at the end of the day, it's the truth, So whether or not he's cheating anymore or whatever the case may be, tainted supplement, I know for a fact when I'm in a training camp, my T levels don't get higher. I understand certain things can affect it, but when you're going through a tough training camp, there's no way your T levels get that high just naturally without nothing else. So, I don't know. I'm calling a spade here. So, it's pretty much where I'm at right now. But I don't know. I call him Pedro for the PED draw. So
you mentioned you're in a semifinal. You feel like you're in a semifinal. That being said, does it matter to you who's on the other side when you get up there?
Should be fucking them up in there.
Can you repeat that?
I said you mentioned that you feel like you're in a semifinal of a tournament. Does it matter to you who's going to be in the championship round against you?
No. I really have no preference. I just want to fight whoever's the best on the night, and then get my chance to prove that I'm the best in the world. That's all I'm in this for, man. Couple pieces of gold, and that's really it. So get my name in history.
Are you having fun doing the Weekly Scraps podcast?
Hold on 1 second.
Was he at a drive-through or what?
Right. Went to the metal detector.
You're at PFL, aren't you?
Yeah, I just got to the PFL. But I'm having fun doing it, man. It's been fun for me to break down the fights. I've been doing that a lot on Twitter to begin with.
Uh-huh.
And I think just being able to do that and give the fans some deep insight from a fighter's perspective who's at the top of their game still, I think they appreciate that. And I think what better way to get better as a fighter himself who's still currently competing. I get to teach it, I get to talk about it, break it down, tag it. And it's all fun, man. I'm not even looking at the numbers or anything like that. I'm just going out there to just doing it and having fun with it.
Are you pretty good at picking winners and losers? Or winners, I guess?
Nah, man, I can't do that. You know what it is? I know so many fighters, and I see them all the time. For me to be talking about them and then, picking against them, I know if someone picked against me, I take it personal, whether it's personal or not. Whether it's personal or not, that's how I feel. I'm like, if you pick against me, I just feel like you want to see me get hurt. So that's the kind of the way I look at it. Because we play for keeps in this sport. We're not playing basketball. We're not wrestling and then shaking each other's hands and just being friends. Just leave a piece of your body every single time you step in that cage.
Damn, when we do the weekly or when we do the staff picks goes for MMA Junkie,
we need to watch our backs.
If we take Munoz, we got to start locking this door in case Sterling's in town at some point. All right. Here, last thing here. Everlast. Very cool that you got the brand ambassador sponsorship deal with Everlast. Congratulations, man. They've been in the fight game, boxing and MMA for a long time.
Yeah, for sure, man. This has been a long time coming. I've been waiting for this deal for a long time, and we tried it a couple years ago when I had a different management group and I was at a different point in my career. And it was something I always dreamed of, that little tidbit I posted about John Jones rocking Everlast and him being a part of the family. That was real. That was the real McCoy. So now I'm finally here. Finally got a good team behind me in terms of sponsorship, and I'm looking forward to great things with these guys. Mm-hmm. And they're actually going to be sponsoring my podcast as well. So it's all good things. All good things. 2019 is a big year.
When you fight for the title, who do you think will be on the opposite side of the octagon?
Who's going to be on the opposite side?
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe Pedro. No, not Pedro. Maybe Henry. Maybe Mullen. I would like to see Mullen again, but I wouldn't have a problem silencing the messenger as well.
Wait a minute. He didn't give an answer.
He kind of did.
Yeah, he doesn't want to pick because he did. Well, wait a minute. This is the actual time that you can make a pick because you said you don't want to piss anybody off. But guess what? You're gonna have to build that fight up anyway. Come on, just give us a prediction. Who wins between Cejudo and Moraes?
It's tough because here's my thing with Cejudo. To me, I always felt like he was a point fighter, but he did finish Wilson Hayes and then he did finish TJ. And that was the first time he actually utilized his wrestling to end a fight.
Yeah.
So when you factor that in, it's hard to really gauge the TJ Dillashaw fight because TJ's first time going out at 25. But then on the flip coin of that, he did finish the guy. So when you think about it like that, and you also look at Marlon's a finisher. It's two powerhouses. So I'm really torn on that one. I really don't know which way to lean towards. But if I had to bet, I would go towards the bigger man in Marlon Moraes.
Last question. This one's real quick. After your fight, you're all showered, you're having a good time, and let's say Tuivasa comes by and goes, "Let's do a shoey, mate." Are you doing a shoey with him?
I'll do a shoey as long as he doesn't spit in the goddamn shoe. The one time we were at the athlete retreat, he made all the fighters who were there in the casino circle spit in the shoe, and not like a regular, like a little. It was like hack it up, spit in the shoe, and he drank the entire thing. It was the most disgusting graphic thing I think I've seen.
How many fighters spit in it?
But, I want to say 6.
God, any names? Can you give any names? Who spit in there?
I think it was me, Brett Johns. I think the Warrior, who was in the UFC at the time.
The Warrior?
It was a bunch of us, man. Yeah, the 35.
This ain't pro wrestling. Who's the Warrior?
His nickname is the Warrior. He fought Benito Lopez. I can't remember his name right now.
All right. That's a pretty cool story.
It was a very interesting thing because that was the first time I ever saw something like that.
Thanks for the time, my man. Go enjoy the fights, and good luck on June 8th. We'll be tuning in, man. That's a great fight.
Hey, you guys remember, I said it here first. I'm going to pick a shutout against Pedro Munoz, June 8th. Tune in.
Sounds good. We'll be tuning in. All right, take care, Aljamain.
Thank you, guys.
See ya. Follow him on Twitter at FunkMaster _UFC. And shout out to Oren Hodak for lining that one out. Why don't you give him a shout out, guys?
Hello, Oram.
All right. We will be back after this break. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 156, and we'll give you an update, man, on the big game that's taking place in front of us here at Milwaukee Bucks versus the Toronto Raptors.
The boys are just getting warmed up. Now the real show begins. Take it away, boys.
Quick update on the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Toronto Raptors. It's Game 5, by the way, and they're in Milwaukee. And I'm sure NBA Radio has got you hooked up. That's Channel 86. We're going to be ending pretty soon, so when we're over, you can go over there. The second half just tipped off. It's 51 for Milwaukee and 49 for Toronto. But this started off with like almost double-digit lead early on. Milwaukee was just blowing them out of the gym. Toronto has fought back. This is a key game, man, because if Toronto wins, that means Game 6, when they can close out, would be in Toronto. And obviously, if Milwaukee wins, then they only have to win one of the next two, with Game 7 being at home. So this is a key game for both squads.
I don't know what I just did, but I closed this bottle on the skin of my finger, and it's trapped. And I'm afraid to go left or right because I feel like I'm going to be Ben Stiller and Something About Mary and just scream.
Yank it then.
Pull it out?
Well, I would imagine it's better than twisting, right?
I don't know.
No, I would just twist.
Twist?
Yeah.
Oh,
Pick
God,
a side.
this is either going to make it worse. It's going to make it worse because it's already hurting more.
It's still hanging in there?
Yeah, look. Maybe I need to go this way. Ah, no, it goes. Oh, no.
Wow. Oh, it fell off. All right.
Oh, no!
Wow,
Folks, the World MMA Awards is coming up here during International Fight Week. And MMA Junkie is up for Best Media Source, and our colleague, John Morgan, is up for Best Journalist. So if you would take the time to go in there and vote, www.worldmmaawards.com, we'd appreciate it. Now, what I'm getting at is just go there and vote. All right? We don't get your vote, fine. If somebody else earned it, fine. But if you really thought we were the best, then, man, it'd be a damn shame if you just didn't do it. So I'm encouraging, again, www.worldmmaawards.com. Go in there and vote. Voting's going to be wrapping up pretty soon, so don't put off till tomorrow what you can do today. We went over a few of the categories last week, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And
went through about 7 or 8 of them.
Yeah. So this one will be fun with Dan Tom. Let's wait for submission of the year for tomorrow. All right. Comeback of the year. Yeah, we can wait for that one tomorrow. Let's do this one today. Upset of the year. Khalil Roundtree versus Gokhan Saki, UFC 226. Remember, these are the 2018 awards. Gokhan Saki, man, is one of the greatest kickboxers ever. He got knocked out by an MMA fighter. So it's not like he got submitted or anything like that. This was a big deal and a huge win for Roundtree. Alexander Hernandez versus Beneil Dariush. Alexander was just a fighter that hadn't been heard of much, and Beneil Dariush has been in there against the best in the business, man. Grappler or striker. He's been a ranked fighter and everything, and Hernandez went in there and got the win. Laid him out. Ray Cooper versus Jake Shields in the PFL playoffs in 2018. Amanda Nunes versus Chris Cyborg. Henry Cejudo versus Demetrius Johnson. What was the biggest upset of the year, Gus?
To me, it's between Amanda and Khalil Roundtree. The general public probably doesn't know how much of a badass Gokhan Saki is.
Mm-hmm.
And Khalil Roundtree, they weren't really even giving him that great of a shot in regards to just winning the fight.
Mm-hmm.
But he went out and he outstruck him. He knocked him out. To me, that's huge.
But Demetrius was the pound-for-pound #1 guy. Hadn't lost since 2011.
Mm-hmm.
11 title defenses.
But Henry had made strides since that first fight. Like, I think we all felt like this was going to be a closer fight, that he wouldn't just get blown out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Chris Cyborg.
That was pretty amazing, too.
And Amanda Nunes. But the thing about Amanda Nunes
is...
it was
so quick.
But you kind of figured it would be... If I told you she won, you'd probably go, oh, man, she probably knocked her out then or something? You wouldn't think she would do that over 5 rounds. So tough. All right, I'm gonna go Khalil Roundtree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
that really shocked me that he was able to do that to Gokhan Saki.
Mm-hmm.
You?
I'm gonna go with. I just thought Demetrius was kind of untouchable. Plus, he had already beaten Cejudo one time and pretty decisively. So, in over 5 rounds, that just seems like a difficult task. Again, 4-ounce gloves, you think, oh, wow, he caught him. All right, yeah, I get that. But no, man, he was able to mix in striking and wrestling, and we've just never seen somebody take it to Demetrius that way.
Can I try and change your mind?
You can after this, because I got to let people know that SiriusXM wants to send you and a friend to Billy Joel Live at London's Wembley Stadium. And from the front row, man, plus you'll meet the Piano Man after the show. One grand prize winner will win a trip to London, including airfare and hotel, along with front row tickets to the concert, and that's on June 22nd. Also, that meet and greet with Billy Joel, don't forget about that. For official rules and to enter, go to SiriusXM.com/Billy Joel London. Do that before June 7th. No additional purchase necessary to enter or to win. Change my mind, goes.
The last reason why I didn't feel like I would pick the Henry Cejudo fight is because if you look at the other two, that I feel like you're on the same page, right? Maybe one of the other two.
Yeah.
They told us that was an unexpected outcome. In Cejudo's fight, the judges were the ones that told us.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
So that's why I had to narrow it down to those two. It was a bigger statement.
Mm-hmm. Gym of the Year. One more. Quick one. We have 90 seconds. Factory X, City Kickboxing, MMA Lab, ATT, AKA.
ATT.
ATT.
Yeah.
What stands
it's
out
between
the most?
ATT.
Remember, 2018 goes. Don't get confused.
Ooh.
So Poirier. So Nunes' win counts over Cyborg, but Poirier's win over Max doesn't because that was 2019. We're doing this halfway into 2019.
ATT because I feel like for a very long time they needed to kind of get over a little bit of a hump, and I think they've finally done that and just cemented themselves and been consistent.
Mm-hmm. I'm leaning towards AKA, but I want to give it some more thought because look, Factory X, City Kickboxing, they're definitely now on the map, and they've had some big moments. But AKA, I know had Cormier beating Miocic, and I know they had Habib getting the title over Iaquinta when it was vacant, and then defending it in the biggest match ever against Conor McGregor later that year. But still, maybe we'll have a little bit more fun with that one tomorrow. I want to thank our guests today, Nick Newell and Aljamain Sterling, for their time. We'll be back in 22 hours with another edition of MMA Junkie Radio. Our fight analyst, Dan Tom, will be here as well. Don't forget, ESPN Plus, head there right now. PFL still has like 3 or 4 matchups left, including the main event of Lance Palmer versus Alex Gilpin. For Josh and Goes, I'm George. Enjoy your evening. Go out there and be a champion.